Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and I am out and about, and this is the second part of my Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens review. And in my first review segment, I talked about Kylo Ren because I think he is absolutely the most important character in the Star Wars Episode 7 Force Awakens film. And so this is going to be about the second most important character in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Spoiler warning, there are lots of spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen the movie, go see it and then come back afterwards and watch this. But if you have seen the movie, let's talk about it. Hey. All right, so second most important important character in the movie is Leia Organa, General Leia Organa, previously Princess Leia Organa. And I thought she was just a wonderful, wonderful part of this movie. She really helped to make this movie balanced and make it fun and make it awesome. And she's just an incredibly important character. So the reason I think she was the second most important character in the whole film is, one, I don't take for granted at all that these movies were made and that we got this seventh movie. It was really a wonderful thing. Basically for my job, I do quality control. And so I know how hard it is to build things. And it's really fantastic this movie was built. So, Princess Leia Organa, of course, General Leia Organa, is portrayed by Carrie Fisher. And so in order to make this film, they had to get Harrison Ford back to the table. They had to get Carrie Fisher back to the table. Had to get Mark Hamill back to the table. And I think there were a lot of reasons. Harrison Ford, he's just a worker, man. He's a workhorse. He loves acting, and he likes making money, right? And not in a bad way. He likes acting for money. And so he was, there was a lot of money on the table, and I think that was important to him. And I think he wanted to finish out Han Solo's story. Mark Hamill, this was by far the most defining, Luke Skywalker was the most defining part of his entire career. So finishing out the story for him was important. So I don't think it was difficult for them to get Mark Hamill back to the table. Carrie Fisher was a different story. She's had a very challenging life. From everything I've led, she's really had to struggle with some different issues. And Star Wars wasn't all gravy for her. There were some really hard parts where she struggled with her role. She struggled with, she's had some different opinions about what happened in the films, and what choices were made in the films. So I really appreciate that Carrie Fisher came back to the table and did the film, because I think if anybody had a reason to say no, it was going to be Carrie Fisher. So I really appreciate that she returned to the franchise, right? As far as her character, General Leia Organa, she, and I keep saying princess, and now I should be saying general. And the reason why is she redefined this character as a leader, right? So in the first film, she was a diplomat. She was a diplomat. Now she's a general, and she's part of the, and she went from leading the rebellion to leading the resistance. And so I love that her character is showing perseverance, and perseverance is amazing, and so she showed that aspect, that perseverance aspect, I thought was really, really fantastic. And I was just excited to see it. I really loved, the other thing is when we see her for the first time talking to Han Solo and see them coming together again as a couple, it was really amazing, and just really heartfelt, and also really bittersweet. You can see that, I think Carrie Fisher poured the pain that she's had in her life and the complexity of the issues she's dealt with in her life into the pain and the complexity of General Leia Organa, right? And so, it was just so well acted and so well done, and I thought she just did a great job. So when we see her, the first thing we see her do is just deal with her relationship with Han Solo. So, the two of them were joined together at some point. They have a child, and then Han Solo and Leia Organa are together, and they have a son. And then things fall apart. Things go bad. Their son it sounds like Kylo Ren, went bad early on. General Leia Organa says, hey, I'm going to send you to Luke Skywalker to be trained. That goes south. And then as soon as they lose their son, Leia Organa breaks off and goes back to being a leader, right? And Han breaks off and goes back being a smuggler, right? So, so here we see Princess Leia dealing with the fallout from having a relationship with Han Solo. And this was so rich, and I thought she just did a great job with this, because here's a woman who's in love with a man who, there's a lot of reasons, there's a lot of problems of being in love with Han Solo. Huge amount of problems. This guy is a smuggler and really quite questionably a murderer. I adhere to the Han shot first, elements, the Han shot first, front, and so, he murdered Greedo straight up. Like, this guy was a smuggler. It even shows he's continuing to cheat people for credits, right? Han Solo is awesome, but Han Solo is awesome at a huge cost, And so I've had people like Han Solo in my life, people who are just super cool, right? Han Solo is crazy cool. And so I'm talking about Han Solo, but the reason I'm talking about Han Solo is I don't think I'm even going to do a separate segment for Han Solo. And the reason why is Han Solo is a super cool, awesome dude, right? And when you're super cool and awesome, often that comes at a price. And when I see these Star Wars movies, they're so important to me. There's a lot of self-reflection, right? And to tell the truth, I'm not a super cool, awesome dude. I am a Christian husband and a father, right? And that means I'm about as boring as it gets, in a lot of ways. So I would love to own a motorcycle and drive a motorcycle. But when I met my wife, I didn't have a motorcycle. So now, I would love to buy a motorcycle, a Japanese, Rice Rocket, and really, get, that's something that's super cool, that, is really awesome, right? And it's just, you can't do that. And the reason why is, when you're a husband and father, you need to be responsible, right? So when you're cool, it's often at the cost of other people. So Han Solo's coolness is at the cost of General Leia Organa and at the cost of Chewbacca. They're constantly having to clean up after him, constantly have to protect him, constantly have to deal with his mess, right? And I've definitely had people in my life who are like this, cool, super cool, awesome people. They do whatever they want, whenever they want. They're independent and they're really exciting, but that all comes at a terrible cost. And I just thought General Leia Organa showed that she was constantly picking up after Han Solo and dealing with kind of the mess that he would make, and so it was just such a rich, embroidered, portrayal that Carrie Fisher brought to Princess Leia, that, General Leia Organa, and just also realizing, hey, I got this issue, but I'm going to keep moving forward in my life, and I'm going to keep helping as many people as I can, and I'm going to keep serving the resistance, because the resistance is what is important to me. And I thought, wow, that is just deep, this is deep, deep content. And, I just thought she did such a great job. And, saw the first movie when I was 7 years old. It was really special to me. And Princess Leia was really special to me. And now, I'm 45 years old, and General Leia Organa is really special to me, in that I loved seeing her in this film. I thought, her portrayal of General Leia Organa was consistent with what she had done back in the 70s and the 80s, and it was darn near flawless. I really just thought she brought what it needed. She didn't make more of it than it needed to be. She didn't insist that her character be put in more than her character needed to be put in. And so I just was really blown away with the portrayal of General Leia Organa. The other thing I thought was really great was just how, when she dealt with Finn, she was like, hey, it's great that you're here, but we need this information. And so she was just always on point on what the resistance needed to keep moving forward, and never putting one person's feelings above everyone's feelings. And I think, that is a big part of leadership, and so I was just really touched by what a great job Carrie Fisher did of portraying General Leia Organa. And I think she is like a linchpin of this series. And it just moved me. Her performance moved me. And so, as I'm going through this Star Wars review, which is multiple videos, because, I feel so much about each character that, I was genuinely moved by this film. And it's a continuation of a joy that I've had for my whole life. And I just really am very thankful to Carrie Fisher for doing something that might not have been a lot of fun for her. that she might have had really reservations for, but she was like, hey, these are my fans. They were my fans back then. They're still my fans now, and I want to do what I can to help them. And I really appreciate that she went into the film. I really appreciate how professional she was and what a great actress she is, and how she brought that to the table, and she hasn't missed a step, right? And I also was just really moved with, especially at the very end when she's talking to Rey, when Rey's about to leave to go see Luke Skywalker. And I was just really moved with how she spoke to Rey, and she was just encouraging to her, and also how elegant Carrie Fisher looked. Just like really still, going back and saying, okay, hey, I made this character General Leia Organa, but she's still Princess Leia. And so at the very end, when she's in the dress and her hair is done in a particular way, she was saying, I'm still Princess Leia, and so just there were so many layers to her performance, and she did just such a wonderful job. I was just blown away by the portrayal of General Leia Organa by Carrie Fisher, and fantastically thrilled with how J.J. Abrams and his writing team used her as a character and just really honored her and honored the character. And so I was just thrilled with the second best character in the movie, Kylo Ren being the first, General Leia Organa being the second. And I thought it was really, really pretty amazing.